time when they usher everybody in?
Sort of. I also just like to stand here for a minute.
Oh, I know. Good.
But I just did get the high sign off the side.
Okay, so you're getting everybody ready. Okay.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the family, thank you all for coming this afternoon. We're here today to remember a man of 83 remarkable years. To some, from the military, he was the colonel. Some of you are friends from Homestead, and you got to know him as the advisor and the negotiator. To a lot of us, we pretty much just knew him as Tom. I'm Chris, and I'm a friend of Tom's. You may have picked that up from the slideshow. And I'm the brother-in-law to Carrie, Tom's life partner, who was the conduit of our relationship. During our time together, I'm with Tom's, we got to know each other. We spent quite a few 18-hour drives together, just he and I. We shared a home, and we also shared countless hours watching our girls at the beach. I found some things about Tom that were interesting I'm going to share with you. Tom was not really big on organized religion. Nonetheless, he did have a spiritual side. And one of his things, sometimes I'd quote from one of the lesser known corners of the Bible, and he found that interesting. So one of them is appropriate right now. It's from the book of Psalms, and interestingly enough, Moses wrote one of the Psalms. And in that psalm, he was reflecting on man's mortality, as we all do an occasion like this. And in the 90th Psalm, verses 9 and 10, he says, "Our years come to an end like a whisper. The span of our life is 70 years, or 80 if one is especially strong." Especially strong is an accurate description for Tom. He just didn't reach 83 years. He lived them fully with a strength of character that uplifted all those around him. He was quite a character. Let me tell you a few things about Tom. He was born Thomas William Baker, September 13, 1942. He was the son of the late Anne E. O'Donnell and William J. Baker. He was born in Holyoke, Massachusetts. That's a little town just above Springfield, about 75 miles to the west of Boston. Because he was born there, that's why he became a fan of all the Boston teams. Now, he was raised, though, by his mother, Anne, and a stepfather, Stanley Stackowitz. And he considered his Stanley to be his father because he really helped him out of a tough spot. And the family had been separated, and this fellow Stanley had really brought the family back together, brought Tom and his brother out of foster care. And that really set the tone for Tom's attitude that the idea of family was as much about behavior as biology. He also had a sister Anne and two brothers, Bill and John. He's survived by his loving companion and best friend Carrie, his devoted lifelong friend Judy. We've got daughters who here again, he took as family, Samantha, her husband Colton, sons Thomas Jr. and Sean. He's got grandchildren, Jordan, Thomas, Will, Denali, Aurora, Bowie, great-grandchildren, William and Morgan, and his brother Bill and wife Elaine and sister Ann. Tom was preceded in death by his mother Ann, his father Stanley, his brother John, and a favorite nephew Billy, and his beloved English bulldogs Clancy and Bailey. Now we're getting into the part that Tom was kind of modest about, and I didn't even find out as much as we were together until we had to put this together. Tom went to South Hadley High School, right there near Springfield, and he loved and excelled in sports. That's why he was such a sports fan. He was the captain of the varsity football, baseball, and basketball teams. Didn't know that. He was quite an athlete. In his senior year, he even received a letter from the Red Sox inviting him to try out. I didn't know that. He never told us that. He never went and really never explained why. Thought that was interesting. He was a very modest man. In 1963, he was doing a ride along with two of his buddies, Pete and George, and they were going to enlist in the Army. And then in the last minute decision, he enlisted on that very trip. And Tom's depth of character then didn't come about by accident. Some of Tom's upbringing was a little bit rough, and as often as a man of that generation and fortitude, he found both escape and purpose in his military service. And that service really came to form the man that we all knew. During that time, his career took him across the globe, starting out in the jungles of Vietnam, Thailand, England, Germany, Korea, and he was even in Russia, right at the post-Soviet era where there's a lot of tension. Something else that was surprising to some of us, I didn't know how much school Tom attended. He went to the Carlisle War College, Officer Candidate School, and Quartermaster School. He received a Bachelor's of Business Administration from Nebraska and a master's degree in public administration from Shippensburg. And it was in his final assignment at the Army, at the DDRE, which is a big warehouse, that would best illustrate Tom's depth of character and toughness, because he was tasked with a formidable feat of consolidating the supply chains of all these different parts of the military into one distribution center. And those were some pretty good stories. Tom was the irresistible force that conquered the immovable object, because he faced a lot of resistance. There was a lot of bureaucratic governmental redundancy, and there were a lot of very strong personalities that were completely satisfied with the status quo. And it took a special kind of man to navigate those waters, tactical wisdom, and the strength of the goal of efficiency. And wasn't just moving supplies. The real problem was moving all the egos that were in the way. And after successfully tasking that, that's where he got his minutes of fame. In 1992, around that time, he was interviewed on 60 Minutes by Leslie Stahl. And she was doing a hit piece on government surplus and excess, and Tom handled himself really well. If you get a chance, maybe you could see that video sometime. So when Tom retired from the Army, though, he didn't stop working. He just changed theater. I know many of you came here that knew him from the Homestead Realty Group. And in that that maneuver, he was an advisor and a negotiator and all around just helper. He knew he looked for spots to fit in, and that's where he would help. And it was there that he met Carrie Senek. At the time, Carrie was going through a challenging season of her own, and Tom's instinct to help forged their relationship strong as steel. They often said to each other, and they would have said to us too, that they really saved each other. Now, while sparks would occasionally fly because they were two strong spirits, you could always tell the devotion was absolute. One of the phrases that we'd hear out of Tom regularly, if you'd ask him a question, is he had a stock reply. I don't know. Go ask Carrie. He really relied on her. And it was that time that Tom then not only entered her life as her life partner, when that happened, he just didn't choose her. He enlisted in the whole family. We weren't just in-laws, but we were like a new family to him. He didn't need a birth certificate to tell him who to love. He just, he decided we were his, and he stood at that post to the very end. If you were in his circle, you were family. Tom's calm demeanor became a steadying influence to everyone that he touched. And perhaps that was because of what he had seen in Vietnam and abroad and some of the real difficult situations that people get into. That gave him the perspective to look at the chaos that we think is our daily life and really put it in its proper place. We appreciated that quality that he had. If you were around Tom for any length of time, there was a particular phrase that I'm sure you've heard, especially if he was getting up for his seat. Can I get you anything? That was Tom. And that wasn't just politeness on his part. That was Tom's mission statement. He always conducted himself with a generosity and selflessness that he was always offering help. It was his mission statement. He looked to see if there was a gap, and he would fill it. Now, while he had that presence about him, he also didn't need to hold court. He didn't need to be the loudest voice in the room, demand all the room's oxygen. In a world that we were living in where there was a lot of talking, he was a master of meaningful silence. But if you happen to get him in a quiet corner with a small group, the silence broke, and he was a fountain of really interesting stories and experiences from his vast lifetime. For 2 decades, Tom and I shared a special front row seat to a relationship between Carrie and her sister. And it's hard to describe the dynamic of a 4-way friendship. But Tom and I were like 2 moons revolving around the same sister planets. We occupied the same space, and we were pulled together by the same gravity of the sisters. And for 20 some years, we stayed in that reliable orbit together. And that orbit kept growing stronger and stronger. 10 years ago, we all started working together. And 5 years ago, there was a house that was shared. And from that, we got to know each other very well. From that vantage point, we got to see his devotion to Carrie and the good that they did for each other. He quietly integrated himself into the very fabric of our lives, and he was a man that made everyone feel good just by his presence. Back in July, when Tom suffered his stroke, it was a real challenge for him to accept that after a lifetime of giving, that he was going to be the one now that needed help. When things got really rough, Tom expressed the desire that all of this be over. And it was reminiscent of another Bible character, Job. We pretty much know the story of Job, that he went through a terrible trial. And during that trial, he said something that was just what Tom said. I'm going to share that with you. It's Job 14. I'm going to read just first part of verse 13. And Tom said this very thing, wishing that it would be over. He said, "Oh, that in the grave you would conceal me, that you would hide me until your anger passes by." So that was what Tom wanted, just like that biblical character, Job, the man back there. But that wasn't the end of it. Job knew that it wasn't the final word on the topic. Look what he says next in the last part of verse 13 through 15. He had a hope. He says, he's talking to God during that plea, that you would set a time limit and remember me. If a man dies, can he live again? I will wait all the days of my compulsory service, meaning in the grave, until my relief comes. You will call, and I will answer you. That's one of many good promises that are in the scriptures, that we will get to see our loved ones again. Now, not every little detail of that is fleshed out, or the timetable, but the promise is there, and the promise is good. So that's the hope we have, to see Tom again. Because we're not done with him. There's unfinished business. It's a picture in the slideshow of us sitting together on our favorite beach. Nice blue sky in the background. And we're watching our girls picking out shark's teeth in the sand. And that was 11 months ago. We had no way of knowing that that would be the last day that we sat on that beach together. If you look at the picture, there's Tom sitting with his legs crossed. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but if you could watch 100 people cross their legs, say, "Oh, that one's Tom." And you could do that because Tom had a signature. That was his signature move. You know, he would sit down, he'd get himself situated, and that leg would go over the other one. It was a unique combination of physical bearing, and then the speed that leg would go over. If you were familiar with Tom, you knew that he was settling in, and everything was going to be okay. It's so wrong that he's gone. There's things that we want to say and do, places we want to go with him. And as much as you know Tom to be a homebody, Carrie got him out of the house. 2 years ago, we were together in Costa Rica. We spent time kayaking. We got Tom out snorkeling. And I bet that surprised quite a few to see him in a wetsuit on the slideshow. And all the while he would do it, you know, Tom had a real special eye roll that, you know, he'd give to her. What's she going to do with me next? But you keep an eye on him, and you knew deep down he loved every minute of it. So today, the orbit's different. There's a moon that's crossed across the horizon. But the light from Tom's stories and the warmth of the way that he made us feel remains. So Tom's legacy is not only in his medals and his rank, but it's found in those stories that he shared with us and the way that he made us feel like we belong to him. So what part can we do to keep that memory alive? by using his example to treat each other in the same way that he treated us. So if we could, what would we tell him today? Tom, your stories are safe with us. The generosity that you showed to us is safe with us. But for now, dear friend, your watch is over. Rest easy. So, at that, we're going to turn our attention to those who have some things to read. And we'd like to start off, Linda, and then some of the family will share some thoughts. And Tom, Sean, and then Carrie will conclude.
Thanks. You did so beautiful. I thought you to follow it.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Linda Sobchak. I am the mother of Carrie. She's the one that introduced us and our whole family to Tom. And needless to say, everybody loves Tom. And the reason for that is also the way he made you feel. Everybody was made to feel good. So Tom came into our life by way of Carrie. As Carrie and Tom's relationship grew, so did our fondness of Tom. We soon began to realize that the relationship of theirs was love and respect for each other. Since none of us know what tomorrow brings, and what if we are lucky enough to find love, then go for it. And they did. I'm just going to read a short poem. Speak of me as you have always done. Remember the good times, laughter and fun. Share the happy memories we've made. Do not let them wither and fade. I'll be with you in the summer's sun, and when the winter's chill has come. I'll be the voice that whispers in the breeze. I'm peaceful now, put your mind at ease. I've rested my eyes and gone to sleep, but memories we've shared are yours to keep. Sometimes our final days may be a test, but remember me when I was at my best. Although things may not be the same, don't be afraid to use my name. Let your sorrow last for just a while. Comfort each other and try to smile. I've lived a life filled with love and joy. What more could I've asked for?
Good afternoon. My name is Sherry, and I am Carrie's sister, for those of you that don't know me. She's my sister, and Tom became my brother. He earned that title through the way he loved her. And to my sister, the way he loved you was the greatest gift he gave, not just you, but the whole family. We are so grateful he chose us to be his people. I've been thinking about how to describe Tom. We've all known him in different capacities and times of his life, but however you knew him, you always knew he was straightforward. There was no guessing what he thought. He loved without holding back, and he gave without reservation. He never missed a chance to ask, "What can I do for you?" And he meant it. He gave respect, and he earned it. His dry wit was infamous and reminded us not to take life too seriously. He was modest in his accomplishments, but he was personally not very modest. If you happen to accidentally catch him in a somewhat undressed state, he always replied, "I don't care. I grew up in the military." And everyone else's response was, "It's not about you, Tom." I love how he found meaning in signs in nature, which teaches us that if you're quiet enough, the universe will send you a sign. And now as we think of him, we'll look for those signs that he is here with us. We'll miss his voice, his sparkly blue eyes, and his sharp humor. He was also known for his Irish goodbyes, and a man with dry wit who didn't like a fuss, slipping out the back door quietly, is exactly how he lived, and in a way how he left. I will always remember with a smile on my face the times Carrie, Tom, Chris, and I spent together laughing, talking for hours, and listening to Chris and Tom discussing philosophies. We traveled together, shared happy hours, laughed, and cried together. So tonight, if you're able, raise a green bottle of Dos Equis, his favorite beer, in his honor. We love you, Tom.
Hi everyone, my name is Denai Sipe. I'm the granddaughter of Thomas W. Baker. I can't read it. I would like to share some of my favorite memories of my grandpa. One of the things I always looked forward to most was our golf cart rides with Colonel and Bailey. They were simple moments, but they meant so much to me. I also loved our family trips to Florida. We would swim in the pool and he would always grab our feet and make us laugh. I'll never forget watching him wrestle with the alligator floating in the pool. It was so funny. Whenever I had sleepovers at Grandma and Colonel's house, he would walk through the living room in the morning, rub my head, and say, "Good morning, honey." Those little gestures made me so loved. He would sit in his favorite chair trying to watch golf while my sister Aurora and I danced around the living room, probably distracting him, but he never seemed to mind. When I told Colonel about my mom's pregnancy, he looked at me and said, "Is this a joke?" Then his eyes filled with tears of joy as he said, "Wow." It was such a special moment and one I will never forget. And of course he would sit in his favorite smoking chair outside and we would be dancing to Perfect, an Italian version, and spending time together. Those quiet moments meant everything. My grandpa was loving, funny, and full of warmth. I will always cherish these memories and carry them with me in my heart. Here are some of the poems that remind me of my grandpa. My grandpa wasn't just a man. He was laughter, strength, and light. He was steady like the morning sun and calm like stars at night. He taught me more than words can say through simple things he'd do, how to love with all your heart and always stay true to you. And though I cannot see him now, I know this much is true. A grandpa's love is never gone. It lives in all we do. Grandpa's hands were strong and warm, weathered by the years, built to fix what had been broken, wipe away our tears. They held us close when we were small, steady, safe, and true, and even now in memory they guide us like they used to. Though time may take the hand we held, it cannot take the love for that lives within our hearts and watches from above. If I close my eyes, I see your smile, I hear your voice so clear. I feel the safety of your hug, like you are standing near. Some people leave this world behind, but you will always stay in who I am and what I do and every step I take each day. They say you're only ashes now, resting soft and gray, but I know that isn't all you are, not even close, not by far. You're in the stories that we tell and laughter through our tears and quiet strength that carries on throughout the coming years. Ashes may be what remains, but love is what stays true. The world may hold your dust now, but my heart still holds you. Colonel, you're my man, and thank you so much for being the best grandpa and helping the world. I love you so, so much, and heaven is absolutely so lucky to have you. Dear Colonel, it broke our hearts to lose you, but you never went alone, for a part of us went with you. The day God took you home, 1,000,000 times we cried.
You got it.
1,000,000 times we missed you.
You want to read it? It's okay. It's all right. Do you want to read it? Yeah.
If love could have saved you, you would have never died. To the grave you travel, our flowers placed with care. No one knows the heartache as we turn to leave you there. If tears could build a stairway and memories could make a lane, we would walk right up to heaven and bring you home again. You've always had a special place deep within my heart, forever it will remain. Whether we are near or far apart, you've been my favorite. You've always made me happy. The kind lectures you used to say to me will never be replaced. I wanted you to know that I love you very much. And even if you're not here with us today, you still mean the world to me. You're the star I'll always wish upon. We'll always remember that special smile, that caring heart, that warm embrace you always gave us. You being there for Grandma and us, though, through good and bad times, no matter what. We will always remember you, Colonel, because there will never be another one to replace you in our hearts, and the love we will always have for you. But I won't forget the memories that we had together, like when you always say to me, you're the most beautiful, amazing granddaughter I've ever seen. And I always say, thank you, Colonel. And he said, you're welcome, Robin. My second most favorite memory is when he would always sit in his favorite patio chair and watch me and Nally do our dances and me doing my cartwheels. Also, he would always say, I wish I could do that. And I would say, Colonel, you cannot do that. You will break your back. He would say, you're right, Rora. I will break my back. The third memory I have is when my mom, my dad, and my sister moved in with him and Grandma. I would always cry in the middle of the night, and Colonel would always pick me up. And I would always calm down when I was in his hands because of how much I love him. My other memory of Colonel is when he was wrestling the alligator and he said to Grandma, what? I can't hear you. And Grandma said, be careful. And Colonel said, I won't be careful. I'm wrestling the alligator, and then fell in the water. Also, my other memory is when we were at the Sea Witch in Florida. Colonel kept acting like a shark and grabbing me and Denali's feet. And we were screaming so loud that the neighbors are freaking out. When me and Denali started getting used to Colonel, he would always have a warm heart to us, and it was hard losing him because he was the one who would encourage me and always spend time with him. I would always go up to him and say, I love you, Colonel. He says, I love you too, Rora. I love how my Colonel would always pay attention to me when I talk to him. He always has a warm heart, and I'm always looking forward to talk to him. But since he's not here with us today, I will always talk to him when I have his ashes. This is not a goodbye, it's a thank you. Thank you for coming into my life and loving me. I will always have you as my grandpa forever. Thank you for all the memories I will never forget, but instead cherish forever, Grandpa. Love, his granddaughter, Aurora.
Okay. Most people here knew him as Tom, but to us, he was Colonel. That name wasn't just a nickname, it was a feeling. It meant strength, it meant protection, it meant that no matter what was going on in the world, we were safe. Colonel was our safety. He was our home. He was our comfort. In a time when my mom and I needed him most, he was there, without hesitation. I was his unofficial daughter, not by blood, not by paperwork, but by love.
And that love was never unofficial. It was steady, it was fierce, it was constant. There's something extraordinary about a man who steps in a role he doesn't have to fill, and fills it completely. We never once had to question it. He chose me, and I will spend the rest of my life grateful for that choice. We felt it every day. Tom, Sean, thank you so much for sharing your dad with me. He loved my mom the way she deserved to be loved. He made her laugh harder than she ever had before. He made her feel confident in ways she hadn't before. He called her every day on her way home from work. He had their happy hour drinks ready, waiting where they could talk and unwind about the day. He did it up until the day that life changed. He did anything for her, something no one has done for her before. I mean, he even dressed up as a cowboy for a work event. He showed her what love truly was, and he extended that love to all of us. His involvement with our kids was more than special, it was intentional, wholehearted, the kind of love that shows up again and again. He wasn't just present in their lives, he was invested. He knew their schedules, their strengths, their struggles. He celebrated their wins and encouraged them through their losses. He was always there for the girls' sports, in the stands, watching closely, cheering proudly. Their biggest fan in every sense of the world. The kind of grandparent who didn't miss a chance to show up, who made them feel seen and supported. You could see how much joy they brought. Jordan, Will, Tommy, thank you for allowing your grandfather to be my kid's grandfather. I'll miss our trip to look at Bailey, which I believe Jordan was with, when he swore after Clancy had passed away he would not get another dog. And sure enough, we went and saw her, and we turned around and went straight to the bank, and that night we brought her home. I'll miss him on the dock, waiting with a big smile to welcome us home from kayaking or tubing with an immediate, "How was it?" I'll miss the little moments of love, like, "Hey, honey, you look beautiful." Like, actually stunning. Even on the days I didn't feel it myself. Or the knuckle to the head, followed by a hug and kiss, hello or goodbye. I'll miss the trips to the beach. The sun, the sand, searching for shark teeth, and him wrestling that ridiculous blow-up alligator like it was a real opponent. He always gave us something to laugh about. Those moments weren't just funny, they were ours. Pieces of a childhood and a family built on joy. Almost a year to the day, we let Colonel know we were welcoming our third little girl. And I'll never forget the tears that filled his eyes when we told him we were expecting. They weren't tears of surprise, they were tears of pure joy and pure love. In that moment, you could see just how deeply he cared. Not just about who we were, but about the life we were building together. He didn't just love us, he loved our future. In true Colonel fashion, he would always ask about the baby, even when he was in the hospital. "How's the baby? Was she born yet? How are you? Do you need anything? Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Sit down." It was never about him. He was truly selfless. Even when he was going through difficult moments on his own, he was always thinking about someone else. Always making sure people he loved were okay. I'll miss sitting with him watching sports, especially when, he's gonna hate me for this, cheering on the Philadelphia Eagles, even though he was a huge Patriots fan. Like the game depended on him personally. The room would fill with his voice, his passion, and his excitement. Even if we weren't watching the score, we were paying attention to him, to the way he made ordinary moments feel big. I'll also miss his sarcasm. In the hospital, that part of him never left. Shortly after his stroke, a nurse asked him to give him a finger so they could check his blood sugar. Without missing a beat, he raised his middle finger. And we all just started laughing, because that was him. Even in a tough moment, he knew how to make us smile. I'll miss the little traditions that were just ours. Whenever I would come over, we'd mess with Mom. I'd walk in and say, "So, you got the day off today?" And he'd do that Colonel laugh, that unmistakable laugh, and say, "Yeah, for now." Those small moments of joking around meant more than we will probably ever realize. I'll miss the quieter times too. The times he helped with resumes, offering advice and encouragement, wanting us to succeed, wanting us to feel confident stepping into the world. That was Colonel. Always making sure we were prepared, always making sure we were steady on our feet. When we think of home, we think of him. Not just a house, but that deep sense of belonging and security. That kind that lets you rest. That kind that lets you breathe. That kind that makes you feel like everything is going to be okay because Colonel is there. Most people knew him as Tom. We were lucky enough to call him Colonel, and we will forever carry his strength, his laughter, and his love with us, always.
Was there anyone else that, Jordan? Excellent. No, that's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
When she's done, if there's someone else that'd like to share a thought about Tom?
Okay, so I wasn't prepared to get up here, but give me a second. I would like to speak on the behalf of the Bakers, and thank you for everyone being here today. When I think about my grandfather, I think about the fact that you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth, and I feel like you all were very civilized, so I'm going to stir shit up a little bit because that's what he would want. So first things first, thank you so much for our extended family and your devotion to him. Carrie, seriously being a devoted partner, and Grandma being a devoted lifelong partner. I would always call my grandpa a cockroach because alcohol, smoking, the war, and cancer couldn't kill him. So I know that when he actually passed, he was ready to go because he was a fighter. This is something that I wrote when he passed, and I just want to share this with you guys. To everyone else, you were Colonel, but to me, you were a wild son of a bitch. Our bond was unspoken, unbreakable. I was your pistol, and you were my cockroach. I'm so glad that we got to spend some of your last moments together. Those are the times that I will always remember. Anytime I think of you, I think of the Red Sox, the Fighting Irish, the best damn Bloody Mary or margarita I've ever had, Tito's vodka, bulldogs, bird watching, smoking on the patio together, the best story I've ever heard, the smell of a Winchester cigar, you twisting my ear, you calling my homecoming date ugly to his face in front of his entire family. That didn't go too well. Laughing and telling jokes, being there for me when I needed you most. Your sarcasm, your war stories, your hugs and kisses. Seeing you cry for the only time ever when I told you that I was pregnant for the first time. Cursing, bald eagles, never judging, leadership, working from the ground up, and reminding me to always fight even when it's hard. Lastly, I would like to share that my grandfather would treat anybody with the same amount of respect. I remember very vividly he would give the mailman a drink, and I remember asking him, are you friends with the mailman? And he said, well, of course I am. He always delivers the mail. And he just treated everyone with the same amount of respect, no matter what their social status was, no matter what they looked like, no matter where they came from. And that was just so admirable. Gramps, you fought as hard as you could, and you sure as hell gave it your all. Thank you for all of the wonderful memories. I love you so much, Angel. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jordan. Chris, thank you so much for the beautiful words you said, and Sherry and Linda. We missed a part about Linda, Carrie's mom. So Dad used to go over for Sunday meals, and you couldn't ever be late. You had to be right on time. So if you weren't on time, you didn't eat. But Dad and Linda had a very close relationship. Linda's too modest to talk about that, but Dad loved Linda very, very much and appreciated her. So I wanted to get an extra plug in for Linda. Otherwise, he wouldn't be too happy. So there's a group of people that I'd like to recognize that I think represent a critical time in life when, as families, we went through a very difficult, unexpected journey. I'll never forget the call when Carrie called me on 81 coming back from New York City, and lived that moment live when Dad was actively having a stroke, and drove straight into Harrisburg, and Sam and Carrie and Mom and I sat in Harrisburg Hospital, I think on the 15th floor. Started in the emergency room and worked our way up, but it was quite traumatic and very serious, and life was on the edge at that point. And we were very blessed because that was the beginning of representation of the healthcare industry and the men and women on the front lines who serve to save our lives and help us in our times of need, especially when something happens unexpectedly. And through the course of that time, Mom and Carrie and Sam and Chris and Sherry and Dad's grandchildren would go from hospital to hospital, and hospital team to nursing team to long-term care facilities and so forth. And then all of a sudden we were fortunate enough that we had to embark on a long-term care facility because it didn't look very positive that Dad was going to get home in the near future. And it was not an easy thing because Dad was very compromised and had a lot of care needs. And trying to find a location for Dad under those circumstances was very difficult. And it weighed very heavy on all of us. We all lost sleep. I know Mom and I did, and Carrie and Sam, and a lot of worrying. And that's when I remember being on the highway and pulling the car over, and a friend of mine had referred us to the Middletown home. And there's only been a few times in my life where I was really, really, really worried. My father always used to say, always have a plan, and just execute the plan and everything will be okay. And he was right. He was right. But there's a couple other times that I think divine intervention is bigger than any plan we could either create or execute. And this was that day when I got a call from Mr. Lou Vogel, who was the chief executive officer of the Middletown home. And I don't remember what I said to him that day because I was very emotional and could barely put my thoughts or words together. But I just remember him being on the other end and telling me that it was going to be okay. And the kind of community that he has and the people that work for him are family. And they believe very much in serving others with purpose and gratitude and appreciation. And so with that, my mother and Carrie and myself and Sam and the rest of the family embarked on what would be Dad's final resting peace. And we want to appreciate everyone. We have two special ladies here, Patty and Judith from the Middletown home. The CEO himself is here, Lou Vogel. These were people that dedicated and personally took the commitment to love Dad. They had a lot of patients that they have to take care for and individuals that they have to take care for, but they really, really went way above and beyond to help Carrie, who was with Dad every day, and assist any way they could. Mom and I, when we were there several days a week, right with Dad's bedside, they were really an extension of our family. When Dad passed at the Middletown home, I think it affected them as much as it did us. And that's very, very special. So on behalf of everyone at the Middletown home particularly, and particularly all of the Harrisburg Hospital staff and doctors and nurses, the UPM West Shore Hospital staff and nurses, the Select Medical Hospital staff and nurses, the Veterans Administration Hospital staff and nurses. We could not be more appreciative in gratitude and express our love as a family for all the service and dedication that you did to help my father through this battle. So I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you all for being here very, very much, and your contributions and your beautiful words that you've shared today.
All the times I got to see him, all the times I got to play with him, all the times he got to see me 1 to 8, hanging out with him, seeing him, even though my brother never got to meet him. My brother will always know him right here. And, Grandpa was a bad boy. Smoking outside, drinking, maybe eating a little too much sugar. We still love that bad boy we had, and he did do good choices, a lot of times bad. My mom was right about he was a roach. So I just needed to say thank you to everybody here today that came to celebrate Grandpa and him up there, but we'll always know him in here.
Incredible job. Good job, honey. You're so great. Sorry.
Wow, I don't know how I can follow that. You are a baker, young man. Tom touched the lives of so many, and everyone here has their own special memories and stories about this wonderful man. My darling, how do I start a life without you? Your heart was my home. You were my rock. Where do I begin? There are so many memories. This is a little bit about who Tom was to me. He had a life well lived. He was a man of honor, dignity, and pride. Tom loved our country, proudly served with distinction for 30 years. Though I did not have the privilege of knowing him during his service, it was clear he was a soldier. Deeply respected and loved by his comrades and the many lives he touched. I always cherished hearing the stories of his military days, travels, and the lifelong friendships he forged along the way. He was one of the best men I've known. Family was his true north, and his love was unconditional and unwavering. My daughter became his daughter, plain and simple. Aurora already told the story about crying in the middle of the night. When I try to stop him, he would say, "I will not let her cry. I will hold her." He was so deeply proud of his sons, Tom and Sean, daughter Sam, his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, Jordan, Thomas, Will, Denali, Aurora, William, Morgan, and our newest addition, who I am so grateful he was able to meet, Bowie. Most of us know his circle was tight, but if you were in it, he would do anything for you. Tom was generous to a fault. He was the kind of man that would truly give you the shirt off his back or the sofa out of our living room. He lived a rare open-handed kindness that often required his family to jokingly restrain him from giving away the entire house just because somebody paid a compliment.
Sincere and caring, he was a man of few words, but when he did speak, you'd better be ready. He brought laughter to my life and always kept me smiling with his unique sense of humor and his legendary streak of sarcasm. There was simply no filter. If it crossed his mind, it came out his mouth. For those of you who knew him well, you know exactly what I mean. He kept me smiling until the very end. He was my biggest fan and toughest critic, always keeping me straight. An honest, no bullshit man. I loved that about him. He never let anything slide, and his advice was quite blunt. Handle it now, shit doesn't get better with time, Carrie. Sports, that was a whole nother ball game for Tom. Loved his Boston sports, whether it be baseball, football, hockey, or basketball. We recorded everything. He can be watching a game, and if Boston is losing, the TV's off. He will always say he doesn't watch losses. If they win, he'll watch them tomorrow. Tom once told me I was meant to be a general. I would have outranked him. I should have been in the military, he'd say. Every now and then, if we had a disagreement, Tom would remind me, "You do know I'm a colonel, right?" I said, "Yes." I said, "But let me remind you, you made me a general." I said, "So I outrank you, soldier. Stand down." He was the calm beneath my storm. I remember once at a family dinner, I was just laughing and saying, "He calms my crazy." Tom didn't miss a beat. "That's bullshit," he said. But the truth was we cared for each other in every way. He was my soulmate. He gave me his unconditional love, something he had not had before. He showed it through his actions that were more powerful than any words. In my times of greatest needs, he cared for me in a way no one has. He was my everything. We shared new adventures together. Tom was always up for my wildest ideas, whether it was kayaking, golfing, Costa Rica, riverboats. He was game for anything. Even when a manatee in Florida decided that Tom was her soulmate and demanded a belly rub, to which he did oblige. We enjoyed our daily happy hours on the golf cart ride with Bailey, cooking together, and dancing in the living room to the music CDs we had created. He loved music and the way it could find a story for every emotion. Every afternoon during happy hour, he'd say, "Have I told you lately how much I love you?" "Yes, Tom, you did this morning, but I love you more." He always argued that, but today I've got the last word. I love you most, darling. Whether he was along the Yellow Breeches, sitting on the patio, or relaxing on our lanai in Florida, Tom was a man at home in nature. He was deeply spiritual, believing in the quiet signs the world sent his way. He had a true connection with wildlife. Whenever the bald eagle appeared along our creek, Tom saw it as a sign of something good on the horizon. And in times of loss, the hummingbirds would always find him, a gentle reminder to his heart that everything was okay. Thank you for your constant love, support, and devotion. We were so fortunate to share a life of love and laughter. Today I honor you. I am so grateful for the life we shared and to have been by your side, holding your hand as you move to a place of peace. I will cherish your love and hold our memories in my heart for a lifetime. Farewell for now until we are together. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And now we'll look for the staff to provide instructions for our way out.
This does conclude our services here today at the funeral home. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and supporting this wonderful family. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to everyone who shared a memory as well. Excuse me. We do ask that everyone who is riding in procession to the gravesite at 2:30, please put your four-way flashers on and your high beams. My staff will give further instructions once everyone is inside. Thank you all again for coming out, and please be safe getting home.
he's like, I'm gonna say something. I'm like, what are you gonna say? And my dad goes, just let him talk.